If you're a lineman in charge of keeping the lights on, Grainger understands that you go to great lengths, and sometimes heights, to ensure the power is always flowing. Which is why you can count on Grainger for professional-grade products and next-day delivery, so you have everything you need to get the job done. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Blog Talk Radio.
Good evening, everybody, and welcome to Golf Talk Live. I'm your host, Ted Odorico. I should say welcome back as host this evening. A little mishap last week. Unfortunately, got hit with what I thought was going to be just a little bug, but ended up being a little bit longer and knocked me out for a few days. So just decided that I wasn't at my best, so I wasn't going to do a show last week. But back here this week, and very excited. I've got a great lineup. But first, let me remind everybody, of course, that the broadcast is live here on blogtalkradio.com from 6 to 8 p.m. Central Standard Time. That's 7 to 9 for you on the East Coast, just to let you know. And on the West Coast, if you're tuning in, it would be from 4 until 6 p.m. Pacific Time. A couple of hours behind there on the West Coast. And don't forget, that's every Thursday at blogtalkradio.com. And the easiest way to find us is if you visit the website, blogtalkradio.com, you can type in /Golf Talk Live, or you can go up in the search key and just type in Golf Talk Live, and that'll get you there as well. Also, I post everything quite frequently on social media, so I'll give you that in just a moment here. But tonight, I've got some great guests. Joining me first off here in just a few moments is going to be head professional Rick Wolf from Tiger Point Golf Club out in Gulf Breeze, Florida, just a couple hours drive over towards Pensacola, Florida. He's going to be joining me here in just a few minutes just to talk a little bit about his course and facility and what he's got to offer there. And of course, Rick is another professional who's course, a little tongue-tied here back, but who is advertising you can find in the South Coast Golf Guide. You've heard me mention several times here on the program. So we're going to talk to him a little bit. And don't forget, if you want to get a copy and see some of the other courses as well as Rick's, you can get a copy of South Coast Golf Guide at southcoastgolfguide.com. And don't forget to follow them on Facebook as well. You can find them there. And I'll repeat that a little bit later in the broadcast. But so Rick's going to be joining us here in just a few moments. And following him, of course, is David Juhola, who is the Bridgestone Territory Manager for Alabama and the Panhandle of Florida. And he's going to be coming out here and talking a little bit about what's up and coming for 2015, some of the new stuff that Bridgestone is going to be coming out with. So David's going to be joining us here in a little bit as well. And then, of course, rounding out tonight's broadcast is that father and daughter team. Had them back on last year, around about this time. Of course, I'm talking about teacher professional Barry Goldstein, and of course his very lovely daughter Carly Ray Goldstein is going to be joining us here. And as you recall, last year she began her sophomore year at LSU and was playing on the women's golf team. So we're going to talk a little bit about how that experience was, her first year at LSU, and she's already back at school, as I understand. I think she went back last week, as I recall, and is gearing up for her second year. So I'm sure she's very excited to get back, maybe not back to the books so much, but certainly back to playing some golf with her fellow teammates at LSU. So we'll talk to her a little bit about that and Barry as well, see what's been happening. They had a lot of exciting things going on this summer. I know that Carly Ray was involved in a number of different tournaments, and we'll ask them a little bit about that when they come on the show a little bit later on. That'll be roughly about 7 p.m. Central Time or 8 p.m. Eastern Time. They'll be joining the program at that point, and got a few questions for them to talk about what's been happening in their lives in the last year. Always excited to have them on the program, and as I've said many, many times, Barry's a great guy, consummate professional, and a great asset to this great game. And Carly Ray's certainly an up-and-comer, phenomenal junior golfer. As I recall, before she started at LSU, she had won her, I think it was about 2 weeks before she actually started her first year at LSU, she had won, put away her 100th tournament as a junior golfer. So just an unbelievable young lady, and a great future ahead, and certainly a phenomenal start. So we're going to talk to her in a little while, as I said. But glad you guys could join me back here. And still working on a few things for upcoming shows. I know that I was planning on for next week, I was hoping to dive back into the Coach's Corner segment I talked about for a little while now, Plan for Success. Not quite ready yet, so I'm still working on that. I've got to reach out to a few people here in the next week or so. So I'm hoping to have that by about mid-September, maybe a little bit later. We'll just see how things go. But everybody's busy, I understand, so it's difficult to tie everybody down to specific time frames and so forth. So, but I'll keep you guys posted as the programs go on, and let you know exactly when that's going to happen. But I think it's going to be exciting series. There's going to be 7 components to it. We're going to talk about, of course, about the fitness aspect of it, about golf, how to get in shape, and how important that is to be in shape, really, to play your best golf. Also, nutrition, very overlooked area to play your best golf. A lot of people out there, especially nowadays, with everybody's schedules sort of being very tight, a lot of people don't always get the best nutrition. So we're going to get some people on, talk a little bit about that, some things that you can do to eat a little bit better, not just for playing golf, but also for the rest of your time as well. Really a lifestyle change, I think, is needed, and we're going to talk a little bit about that, but we're also, of course, going to apply it to golf. Of course, we would be remiss if we didn't talk about, of course, the equipment end of things. We're going to have some people on here talk about some of the changes, both good and bad, in equipment, and how to get yourself better prepared in selecting the right equipment for your game. And also, you want to be able to make sure that you get fitted properly by a trained professional. That's very important. A lot of people don't realize that. They think they can just buy a set of clubs from their local Dick's or local pro shop, and more often than not, they don't get properly fitted, and you'd be surprised at how that's going to affect your game. So we'll talk about the equipment. Of course, we're going to talk about instruction, how to take a proper lesson, how to be prepared, and how to find a good coach out there or a great instructor. And we're going to talk a little bit about that. And also we're going to talk, even though we've touched about it several times on the program, we're going to talk about the mental side of things. We're going to get a little more in depth about that and how to mentally prepare yourself for that great round. And, of course, we'll wrap everything up on the closing program. So very excited about that. That's going to be coming up here in a few weeks. So make sure that you stay tuned for that. And as I said, I'll keep you posted. One of the things that I'm working on right now, and haven't got it all finalized, but I thought it would be kind of an interesting segment to have here once in a while on the program, and that is we're going to get a young player coming on the program here in the next little bit, and somebody that's sort of a quest for the card, if you will, quest for his card. And we're going to follow the journey of a young player who's currently playing on some of the junior tours and that sort of thing. And what we're going to do is sort of follow his journey as he prepares to play in the big stage on the PGA Tour. So we're going to get a young gentleman here coming on in the next few weeks once we get everything finalized. I thought it would make for an interesting segment. Get him on here to sort of set things up, and then we're going to follow him as the months go on. We'll have him on here for a short segment every month just to update on how his play is. But not only that, but also some of the challenges that he's facing while he's out there, some of the ups and the downs, of course, in pursuit of that ultimate goal of becoming a player on the PGA Tour. So we're going to have a young man. I'm not going to release his name at this point until everything's finalized, but I think that'll be a lot of fun, and I'm sure that you guys will enjoy following his career and his pursuit. And that's one of the things that I'm working on as well. And as I talked about in previous shows, I've mentioned as well about sort of moving around and doing it on different locations. Still working on that as well. I've got a few lined up, and again, just sort of finalizing the dates and locations and things like that. But once I have that done, I'll release a full schedule. But I think it'd be a little bit fun to do this on the road, and since obviously I have the ability to do so, and just thought it would make it for a little bit more of an interesting challenge for me, and just make it a little bit more interesting for you. Get some different resorts and so forth involved in the program, and do a broadcast on location. So that's a couple of things that are coming up. And also we're going to have, in addition to our regular sort of Coach's Corner, I'm going to make some modifications on that. Obviously, we can't just do the same thing all the time. And one of the things that we're going to start doing as well with Coach's Corner is just having some general chat and dialogue about what's happening in the industry and some of the changes that have gone on. And we're going to pick a different topic each week for the panel and have some general discussion, get some viewpoints. We'll still obviously take some email, and obviously we'd love to have some phone questions as well to help some of you guys and gals out there with your game. So by all means, keep sending them in, and you can send those into questions.golftalklive@gmail.com. That's questions.golftalklive@gmail.com. And for those of you, as I said, that you want to call in during the live broadcast at any time, you can do so to speak with any of the guests. Or if you just want to say hello to me, you can do so at area code 646-716-4667. Or you can email any comments or questions about the program to me personally at ted.golftalklive@gmail.com. And if you're somebody in the golf industry and you're maybe interested in coming on, you feel that you have something to share with the audience and you want to get in touch with me, that's the best way to do so. You can email me at ted.golftalklive@gmail.com. And as I mentioned earlier, if you want updates on the show through social media, you can do so on Facebook at facebook.com/Golf Talk Live. Golf Talk Live blog. Make sure you have the blog on the end. And also you can follow me on Twitter at Ted and Buck CEO. Certainly appreciate all the new follows at Ted and Buck CEO, CEO of course in caps. And also check out the Golf Talk Live website at www.golftalklivblog.com. I see that Rick is queued up here, ready to go. So let me just give you a little bit background on Rick. Rick Wolf, of course, is a Class A PGA professional with over 25 years of experience in the industry, and is originally from Fort Lauderdale, Florida, and comes to Tiger Point Golf Club, and after serving as the director of golf at Callaway Gardens Resort in Pine Mountain, Georgia, for the last 5 years. Has an extensive background in club operations and served as a head professional of some of the finest clubs in the country, including Broken Sound in Boca Raton, Florida, Country Club of the South in Alpharetta, Georgia, I believe that's correct, and Admiral's Cove in Jupiter, Florida. So he's very accomplished in teaching and certainly established a great golf academy at Callaway, and has taught over 100 lessons and clinics annually, including a junior program with well over 150 students. So, and he's married to his wife, Amy, and has 2 children, Derek and Jessica. And as I said, Rick is coming on the program. He's the head golf professional at Tiger Point Golf Club. He's one of the clubs that's in the South Coast Golf Guide. And let me bring him on, and we'll talk to Rick. Good evening, Rick. Welcome to Golf Talk Live.
Hey, Ted. Thanks for having me on.
Not a problem. I appreciate you coming on. I just did a little quick intro so everybody's familiar with who you are and a little bit about your background. Rick, I wanted to, as we set this up through Jonathan, of course, Jonathan's the owner and publisher of South Coast Golf Guide. And as I mentioned in the intro, Rick, of course, works at one of the facilities that's published in the guide. And Rick, I wanted to give you an opportunity to come on and talk a little bit about Tiger Point, just sort of give us an overview of the course, and courses actually have 2 there, and a little bit about the facility and what some of the people can expect in their experience at coming out to Tiger Point.
Sure. Well, actually, we closed the West Course down August 22nd. We shut it down, and we're actually going to start moving dirt November 1st over there. They're going to do about a $4 million redesign. Bob Walker's going to redesign that course. And really, after looking at the blueprints, it's a total redesign. A lot of the layout is going to change. There will be a lot of holes out on the Sound. So it's an exciting time right now for us. But right now we've got 18 holes open, which is the East Course. which was the host of the Pensacola Open in 1988. And it's not the easiest course you'll ever play. It's a tough golf course. The West course was pretty much devastated in 2004 with Hurricane Ivan, and we've just been 9 holes for 10 years. So we're excited that we're looking forward to next year. But the East course is in pretty good shape. Like I said, it's a challenge, but we've had a pretty busy season, so we're excited about everything going on.
Let me ask you, Rick. I know that obviously for those of you that want to know where Tiger Point is, of course, it's in Gulf Breeze, what's called Gulf Breeze, Florida, which of course is part of the Pensacola, Florida area. And so I noticed. I believe it's the East course, if I'm not mistaken. A lot of it, or some of the holes, actually sort of go along the bay there. How many holes actually are on the water or on facing the water?
Well, there's probably 2 holes that are directly on the water, which are your closest. Number 3, the par 5, and number 4, the par 3. And then there's a couple of holes, 8 and 13, where you can see the water in the distance as far as the nice view. But actually 2 of the holes are on the water there on the east.
Now, do you get a lot of, I guess depending on which way the winds are blowing, do you get a lot of interesting challenges on those holes that are on the water?
Yeah, the wind is always blowing. It seems like in Gulf Breeze, hence the name. But the wind can change pretty quick. The other day, we played a lot where the front 9 will be into the wind and the back 9 will be downwind. But it's a rare occasion when there is no breeze out there. So yeah, you're battling the wind. It's definitely what I'd consider a link style course. So, the wind is a big factor, and like I said, we encourage people to play up because it's not the easiest course you ever play, and the West course was always to complement being the easier course. But for right now, Tiger Point can be a bear. I'm not going to say it's the easiest place to play, but it's in really good shape.
Well, and one of the things, one of the things too,
you're going to have some wind.
Yeah, I'm sure, and I know out in that area, in the last several years, I know some of the courses, of course, have felt not just from the hurricane, but I know there was some storms that came through, I believe, last year, and a lot of rain, and I know that that's one of the downfalls here in the south, that sometimes when you get some of these heavy storms coming in, they can really wreak havoc on the courses. So it's a greenskeeper and what have you nightmare sometimes to have to deal with it. But you guys do a great job, I know, at Tiger Point bouncing back. So I know that once the renovations are done, I'm sure the West course will be even better than it was before. Let me ask you, Rick, real quick, just about the facility itself. What are some of the things that you offer there? I know you obviously probably do some corporate outings and things like that, but what are some of the things that somebody can experience coming to Tiger Point?
Well, it's really family friendly. I mean, one of the things that's kind of cool out there at Tiger Point is we really do a good job of growing the game. We do a lot. We're heavily involved in junior golf. We've got a Gulf Breeze Junior Golf League. It's run by the city. It's run out of Tiger Point. We've got Coach Tammy Davenport. She does a great job with the kids. She's got a slew of kids, and then they pretty much go year-round. They take a break during the summer when the kids are out of school. But when the kids are back in school, she's going to crank her program up here starting in September. And then we also have the First Tee of Northwest Florida is out there pretty much now on Saturdays. They'll be cranking I think they crank up in October. They take a little break. So, I mean, it's family friendly, and we do have a lot of involvement with the kids in the community. So that's really one of the cool things. Also, we're, the Pensacola area is very military friendly, heavy military presence out there. So we try to take care of our military guys as well. We have pretty much, if you're a card-carrying military, it's like $29.99 anytime. So we offer a deep discount for all our military appreciation. So that's one of the cool things. And then, we've got a membership, and we're open to the public. We are, we're a city course, so we're kind of private and public all in one, semi, if you will.
Yeah,
and then we do have the restaurant as well.
And that's great that you recognize and have something special for those that are serving here in the military. That's fantastic. Can't do enough to help the men and women that are out there, protecting things. So that's a fantastic perk to offer to the military, and I'm sure they certainly appreciate it. Rick, one of the other things too that I wanted to ask you, being here in the Northwest, there's just so much available to do, and obviously we want to, as time goes on, we want to encourage more and more people. And it's great that you've got some junior programs in the area that are working with your particular facility. But what do you think, in your estimation, just based on how the industry has gone? What are some things that not only you're doing, but what are some things that maybe in the golf industry in general we could be doing maybe a little better to help grow the game again?
Well, there's definitely a trend to kind of think out of the traditional box to make the game more enjoyable, especially on the beginner level. I've seen, short courses, bigger cups, putting more, a little more novelty to it to introduce folks, to get folks interested in the game, rather than just kind of cut you out on the golf course, playing an 18-hole round. I think there's a concentrated effort to make the game more fun, for folks that are absolute beginners. So, a lot of short game stuff and just like putting, and there's definitely an effort to speed things along. Definitely trying to make the game a little quicker and move along, and maybe a little easier as well. The tee it forward from the PGA was big.
Right.
It just makes the golf courses easier. And then there's always the guy that has the ego that wants to get beat up, but that's probably we see it all the time. The folks that play too far back and shouldn't, but shorter courses. And not so penal. There's definitely an effort there, and with the amount of acreage in the past, I think you're going to see a trend that are going to shrink down a little bit, for sure.
Yeah,
the equipment.
I think what. Yeah,
the equipment gets. Oh, go ahead, buddy.
No, what I was going to say was just in response to that. One of the things that I think is, as you said, starting to happen is a change in really the format. Traditionally, of course, a lot of the courses being built were 18 holes, and a certain acreage, if you will, was being utilized. But the game, the sport itself, has changed dramatically. Obviously, there's still the traditionalists that want to play that traditional 18 holes, and there's nothing wrong with that. But some of the newer generation coming up and that may not have the time or even the interest to maybe play a traditional, and they want something a little bit different. So I think it's good that the industry is making some changes and modifying things in order to attract new individuals. Now, that doesn't mean that the diehard golfers out there are going to be shortchanged, because there's plenty of courses around for them to still play. But I think you're right. I think they do have to make some changes and tweak it a little bit just to attract a new audience, if you will, or new participants.
Absolutely. Yeah, there's a trend even in the practice facilities that way as well. Even driving ranges are becoming like, I would describe it as an 11-acre pinball machine, making the targets more fun, putting stuff out there just to aim at, basically, rather than just a flag, targets, nets, all kind of cool stuff they're coming up with. But yeah, there's definitely a shift to spur on participation, for sure.
Now, you were starting to mention something about equipment, and
oh yeah,
you want to go ahead with your thought there?
Well, I mean, the equipment has come a long way, for sure. These guys are hitting the ball a long way on TV, and the recreational golfers hitting the ball a long way as well. So, I mean, that's with equipment advancing, the golf ball and titanium heads and graphite shafts and, cutting edge, between that. And, it makes it a little more enjoyable for the average golfer. I think that the guys that played 40 years ago that were swinging a steel shaft and a persimmon head, you really had to launch your entire body at the ball. So the golf swing has changed a little bit in that regard, too. You really don't have to swing as hard as you did back in the day to create the club head speed. So that's it's exciting for the weekend golfer to go out there and be able to hit it 200, 250 with, taking an easy swing. It's a lot easier to do than it was, for my father, for sure.
Yeah, and you're right. I remember, playing with when I first got into the game, of course, playing with persimmon woods and so even some of the older irons that weren't as forgiving as they are today. So there's definitely a lot of play, a lot of changes in the equipment. The one thing that I would say, and I don't want to say use the word negative, but that I would say against the equipment is, and I'm going to be asking David when he comes on here from Bridgestone in a few moments. The one thing I think that I would say, and as I said, in a negative way, is that I think sometimes people's expectations of the equipment is a little unrealistic for their game. And what I mean by that, and I've said this very openly on the program before, is regardless of what club you put in the hand, if you are not swinging the club properly, you certainly might see some differences, but you're not going to utilize it to its full capacity if you still don't know how to swing the club properly. Would you agree with that?
No, I couldn't agree more. I mean, there's always the new club, the new club. The honeymoon ends pretty quick with a new driver.
Yep.
Maybe a day or two, you got a brand new driver, you're all fired up, you're all psyched up, but it all boils down to the swing pretty much when it's all said and done. The advancements, the ball flight is much straighter. That's a big thing from the past. So that helps us all. But yeah, you can't buy a score. You really can't.
No, and I think really proof of that is really when you look at the statistics for handicaps over the last 20 years, really have not changed a whole lot. I mean, there's been some movement, but really not as much as what they were probably hoping on, or certainly the golfers were hoping for. So, despite the technology, and don't get me wrong, I love the new equipment. I think it's great, much of it that's come out. But I want to caution the average golfer out there how important it is to go and see your local teacher professional and let them not only fit you properly for the right equipment, but also make sure that they're showing you how to use that equipment properly, so you're going to get the best value out of it. Because there's no point in going out and spending $200, $300, $400 on that new driver if you're not going to be able to utilize it correctly, because you're not going to get the full benefit. And I think that's probably what we need to really be focusing on here, is getting people out to the golf course and working with their local professional and working on their game.
Absolutely. I mean, the numbers don't lie. Statistics in a round of golf, be it a touring professional or just a weekend warrior, skill level doesn't change the numbers. I mean, 70% of your strokes in a round of golf are going to be from 100 yards and in, and about 40% of that is putting. So if you're, I've seen tour players that were 50% of their strokes were in putting and shoot even par. I've seen 32 swings and 32 putts. I mean, 36 shots and 36 putts in a round of golf, and an even par round. So I mean, you're going to be 40 to 50% is on the greens, and another 20 to 30 of that is around the greens. So I mean, that's where everybody wants to hit it long, and but your the scorecard is from 100 yards and in. The numbers don't lie. So if I had advice for anybody, is get on the greens and get working on your chipping and pitching, and that's the easiest way to save them, for sure. Yeah,
exactly. Well, Rick, I want to thank you for coming on and talking a little bit with me. And I just, if you want to very quickly just let everybody know how they can get in touch with you, and if they're interested in coming out to Tiger Point, how they can go about getting more information about playing your great course.
Oh, absolutely. Tiger Point, you can give us a call. The number is 850-932-1333. And the website is pretty easy. It's tigerpointgolfclub.com.
Perfect. And you can also email at info@tigerpointgolfclub.com if you want to get some more information about tee times and things like that, or if you want to find out some of the other things that are offered at the Tiger Point Golf Club facility. Rick, I want to appreciate you coming back on, and I want to have you back again and maybe participate in one of my Coach's Corner segments with some of the other teaching pros in the area and answer some calls and questions from our audience and participate in that. So you're welcome to come back anytime.
All right. Thank you very much, Ted. I appreciate it, and I'd love to do it.
All right. Not a problem. You have a great holiday weekend, and we'll talk to you soon.
All right. Take care, bud.
All right. Bye-bye. Okay, that was Rick Wolf, of course, the head golf professional at Tiger Point Golf Club out in Gulf Breeze, Florida, just right adjacent to Pensacola, Florida. And as he said, if you want to get in touch with the course and maybe you're interested in playing, you can do so by calling area code 850-932-1333. And they're located, as I said, out in Gulf Breeze, Florida at 1255 Country Club Road in Gulf Breeze. Just to also let you know and remind everybody that Tiger Point is one of the many courses that you can find available in South Coast Golf Guide, which is a great publication here in the southeastern part of the United States. It's got a lot of great courses just like Tiger Point in there. Strongly suggest that you pick yourself up a copy. If you're in the area, you can visit pretty much most of the courses in the area. We'll have them on hand, such as Tiger Point. If you're in the area, you can pick one up there and get a list of all the different courses, not only here in the great state of Florida, but also Alabama, Mississippi, and Louisiana. Some great courses listed in there as well. So if you're planning on a trip down here in the south and you want to find out some great courses to play, you can find them in South Coast Golf Guide, and also visit southcoastgolfguide.com. You can visit the website there and get all kinds of information there as well, how you can get your hot little hands on one, and also just check out what some of the deals that are available from the variety of courses, and also some other specials on there. And if you're interested in advertising, if you're at a course in the area and maybe not currently in there, or maybe a business you might want to get in that publication has quite a following and quite a readership, you can do so by contacting Jonathan at southcoastgolfguide.com. That's his email. And Jonathan Laird, of course, is the publisher owner of South Coast Golf Guide. So make sure you pick yourself up a copy. As I mentioned, I'm going to be joined here by another gentleman here. I see he's waiting in the wings. David Juhola. He's the Bridgestone Territory Manager for Alabama and the Panhandle of Florida. And we're going to be talking a little bit about some of the new stuff coming out for 2015, some of the exciting new equipment that Bridgestone Golf is going to be having available. So let me bring David on here, and we'll talk a little bit of golf. David, good evening, and welcome to Golf Talk Live.
Thank you, Ted. I appreciate you having me on.
Not a problem. David, when you and I last spoke, probably close to a month ago, I guess, you were getting ready to go to your annual meeting and find out some new and exciting things that were going to be coming out with Bridgestone. And I understand you just had that. In fact, I think it was last week or the week before. So what are some great things that we have to look forward to for 2015 from Bridgestone?
Well, Ted, we had our meeting last week, and we rolled out our new J15 product category in the club line. Very exciting for us. In the past, people know us as a ball company, but we're going to have a nice new line come out February 1st and for general consumption, and it's real exciting. We're going to have
now.
Go ahead.
No, sorry. Go ahead and finish.
Yeah, we're going to have an adjustable driver is a new product for us, and it has some really cool technology to it. It's called Fast Crown, and the Fast Crown driver, I don't know if you're aware of this, but most of your drivers, the crown will flex when the golf ball impacts the club face. And what we've done is we've come up with a process of flex action speed technology, which actually makes the ball come off the club face much faster with less spin.
Wow.
Yeah, it's pretty unique. We're also put a milled face on that driver as well.
Now, as you mentioned, Bridgestone, of course, has been very well known for being really one of the leaders in golf balls. And I know that you're going to be having, I'm sure, some updates possibly, or some new ones going to be coming in that line as well.
Yeah, there'll be a new e-ball that'll launch in January at the PGA show. Beyond that, that's really all I know. They won't share that information with us until the PGA show.
No, I know they never do. That's the one thing you can always count on from the equipment guys is when they got something new, they're not going to spill the beans until they're ready to launch it. So, but we'll make sure that we let the listeners know when that becomes available and you're ready to launch that. Let me ask you. We'll get a little bit more into the equipment here in just a second, but I want to ask you. I was just talking to my previous guest, of course, Rick Wolf, who is the head professional at Tiger Point over in Gulf Breeze, just adjacent there to Pensacola. Changes over the years with equipment and certainly a lot of exciting changes in that. But one of the things that I've always emphasized is that regardless of what equipment you're playing, there are a couple of key things that you have to do. First off, you need to be fitted properly. Regardless of what make or model you're playing. That's the number one thing. You need to be fitted properly. And it's not just a matter of, fitting the club, fitting the right set of clubs, because especially now with so much technology out there and there's so many choices and options, there's a different club really almost for everybody out there. So you've got to really make sure that you're with somebody that's qualified. But also, too, you really have to understand how to make the most out of those clubs. So what are some of the things that Bridgestone, do you think, is trying to do to help that sort of weekend warrior out there? What are some of the things that with its new lines coming out that you think is going to help the average golfer?
Well, we've actually got 5 sets of irons that will be coming out, and we have 4 of those will be a forged iron. The game improvement iron that we put together is called is actually a cast iron. It is going to have the nip-on shaft in it, which is one of the most forgiving shafts that's out there that we've found as far as putting it into the marketplace. We put a larger sole on that iron, trying to pull the information up on it. It's actually got a much larger sweet spot. It's got a 360-degree undercut pocket, which is going to help the ball enhance the repulsion area in the face and add initial velocity. But along with just club, you also have to have the right golf ball. And, balls is you need to marry the ball with the club if you can. That's why we stress so much. If you do get a new driver, you need to get refit for the golf ball because every driver is going to produce a different launch angle and different spin rate. So with that being said,
right. and
if you change drivers, you got to change the ball.
Right, exactly. Now, what does Bridgestone do to help sort of marry the two? What technology or what process do you have to help the average golfer out there? Let's say they want to get your new driver, and they're playing a ball that's maybe not appropriate for that. What do you do to help that golfer sort of now maybe move into a different ball that's going to give him the best opportunities to score better and to play better overall and get the most performance out of that club?
Well, of course, the best way is to go through a ball fitting and ball testing. And we have those throughout the territory in Alabama and the Panhandle of Florida. We had just finished up, and they'll start back in the spring of next year at different locations. And I don't have that schedule at this point, but that's basically where the consumer will come up. They can go to our website, bridgestonegolf.com, and click on the B-Fit. And it'll actually give them locations of all the ball fittings across the country, and they can just knock in their zip code, and it'll kind of list out all the different locations. And when they come to that ball fitting, what they actually do, we actually ask them a series of a couple questions. We ask them what ball they're currently playing, and we'll actually give them their ball to hit into a net using science side to generate club head speed, ball launch angle, ball speeds, and all this different data that we use to fit people to golf balls. And then we'll make a recommended choice with our ball. Now, 20% of the population actually play a golf ball that fits their game. 80% do not. So, I mean, that's a pretty large number. Yeah,
and I think what a lot of it is, and I think it's obviously, the average golfer out there sees what the pros are playing, on tour, and they figure, well, that's the ball for me. But there's really a lot of science in behind it, and a lot of people don't understand. There's obviously balls that are going to help, provide a little more distance. Some are going to provide a little bit more feel and or a little bit more control, especially around the greens. And this day and age, obviously there's still those out there that want to grip it and rip it and hit it a mile, but people are starting to wisen up a little bit and realizing that, it's great to have that distance if you've got it, but more importantly, they need to have the control. So there are some balls out there that are maybe better suited for a person that needs control in their game, and there's some that have control. So how do you sort of marry the two together, if you will? How do you get, a good distance with the ball, but yet you don't want to lose that feel and that, the spin that you might need to hold it on a green?
Well, ideally, it's going to be based off of swing speed and spin rate off the driver. Ideally, you want to get your spin rates as close to 2,500 RPMs as you can. Of course, if it's greater than 2,500, you're going to be spinning the ball a little bit more, and it's going to increase the launch angle on the golf ball. Everybody says they want to spin it a lot, but what happens when you increase spin on a golf ball, you also increase misdirection when you miss hit. So,
right.
It's very difficult to try to marry those two together. Ideally, you want your launch angle around 12 degrees, 13 degrees, somewhere in that point. That's a really hard question. Everybody's so individualized, and that's why I say it's so important that if you've never been fit, get fit. And if you get fit for clubs, you can go to our website and actually punch in all your raw data that you've received when you've been fit for a driver on our website, and it'll make a recommended ball choice for you.
Okay. Now, if somebody is, obviously they can take those steps if they're playing a ball right now, but let's go back to the equipment for just a second. Now, obviously, Bridgestone is trying to evolve into more of the club end of it as well as just the ball. I mean, it's been very well documented that Bridgestone has been, as I said, a leader in golf ball technology, but now they're moving a little bit more into the club end of it. You mentioned that you have, out of the 5 sets of irons coming out, 4 are more of a forward. So obviously, is Bridgestone, am I to understand that they're maybe gearing the majority of their line more to the lower handicap player?
Well, of the 4 sets, there's only one pure muscle back, and
okay.
We are actually, all that product is allocated within territory. So it's going to be a limited edition product. So it's not like we're going to try to position club at every location. As you know, clubs are a hard sale right now. They're
right.
Not a cheap item by any means, but it's an item that the consumer wants and we want to be part of. So we have a cavity back. We have a dual pocket cavity. We also have a driving forged iron, and then we have the cast iron. So we're putting more emphasis into the cast iron because we understand more golfers are trying to make the game fun, and in the cast iron we feel that we've come out with is going to definitely make it easier for the consumer to hit.
What do you think, David, just as a general note, and this doesn't necessarily have to reflect Bridgestone, but this is really for the industry in general, and I'm talking about the equipment industry. Obviously a lot of people have been frustrated, as I just mentioned on the air a few moments ago with Rick. Despite a lot of the changes in the golf industry in general, both equipment and courses and so forth, really handicaps have not changed a great deal. In fact, they've barely budged in the last couple of decades. What do you think that we need to do, both on your end as an equipment person and also my end, let's say, as a teacher professional? What do we need to do to really, number one, make it more fun for the average golfer out there, but also to sort of make it a little bit easier and more affordable for the average player out there? Because obviously we're all feeling the pinch of economic times here. A lot of people have gravitated away because of the cost of golf. So how do we sort of find a balance, if you will, between your end of the industry and my end of the industry, that we can kind of come together and say, okay, here's what we're going to do to keep not only people that are currently in, but get some new people out there as well?
Well, that's the $99 question right there. I wish I had an answer for you. I mean, I'm a PGA professional as well, and I mean, we've fought these battles for many of years, and what you're seeing being passed out from the PGA right now is something that was in the works probably 8-9 years ago. So it's kind of like a slow-moving wheel. It finally gets out to where we're trying to do something about it, but it just takes forever. And from the equipment side, we're doing all we can to make it easier. From the ball side, we're trying to make it easier for the consumer to hit it straighter. With the E6 golf ball, that's our most popular selling model of all of ours, that and the RX. We've got a new promotion coming out it's kind of been an eye-shattering and earth-shattering thing for someone when they look at it. We're basically saying take the challenge, and we're going to provide face tape, and the consumer can put the face tape on their driver. And basically, it's really simple. It says if you hit it right in the center where the tour guy hit it, you should be playing a tour golf ball. If you hit it somewhere all over the face, you need a game improvement golf ball, hence the RX, the RXS. So, as far as cost, we try to keep our costs down as much as we can. We are cheaper than our competitors in some aspects because we are the number 2 ball. So, we're trying to manage our numbers, and from the consumer standpoint, we're seeing an uptick in sell-through in our product because of that pinch they're feeling, because they can't buy our products for a little bit less money than our competitors' product.
Right, and I know that you obviously have a number of players on the professional tours that are gravitating towards your product as you come out with new and exciting products. More and more of the players are starting to look at Bridgestone a little more seriously in more recent times. Just to stay on the cost end of it a little bit, obviously one of the things, there's two really big issues I think that the golf industry has experienced in the last little while. Number one is obviously a time restraint. People have less and less time. It's a little harder to sneak away to play 18 holes, even for those of us in the business that are teaching, all the time. It's difficult for us to even get out and play and squeeze that time in. And also there's a cost factor. And obviously the equipment end of it and even the course end of it, there's only so much that you can tweak the numbers and still be able to be profitable. What are some things do you think, maybe is it something outside of the industry that needs to happen in order to make it a little bit more accessible for those out there that want to play but maybe are just sort of at that cutting line that maybe can't quite afford it as easily or it's not as accessible for them? What are some things that we can do as an industry, do you think, to make that a little bit more accessible?
Well, I think from the standpoint of a green grass industry, you've got to create interest. I was talking with a couple golf professionals today, and they both reiterated the same thing. The 30-somethings aren't playing as much, but the ones that are under 30 are playing more. So, we're getting some new golfers in, but the 30-somethings, they have children. And unfortunately, those children have a lot of different activities. As far as getting those out, I think it's creating interest of having parent-child, siblings events, creating fun events. And I think, 14-inch cup, I think there's something to that. Make it fun, make it quick. I know the industry is showing that if they use a 14-inch cup, you're going to cut an hour out of the time. I mean, time is a huge factor with the 30-somethings because their time is spread so thin with T-ball and, everything else that they're involved with. So, you're right. There's so much, sort of going on, and it is hard to sort of spread your time and allocate time. It's not like it used to be in golf. I mean, traditionally people would sneak away, whether it be on a Friday or even, and all kidding aside, but the medical profession, they used to always, Wednesdays was their day to sort of sneak out and play golf. At least I know my doctor did all the time. He was never available on a Wednesday, so I knew he was on the golf course. But I think that there definitely needs to be some changes, and it's good to see that equipment manufacturers like Bridgestone are doing things, and not only to address some of the concerns that some of the average golfer, I mean, obviously the professional golfer is a whole different kettle of fish, but the average golfer out there needs to know that the equipment that they're playing is going to help them, and obviously there has to be a certain skill level involved as well. And as I mentioned to Rick, and I make no bones about it,
regardless of what equipment you put in somebody's hand, if they don't have the basic understanding of how to utilize that equipment to its best capacity, they're not going to necessarily see the results that you'd like them to see. So there's something that the teacher professionals can do to sort of step up and make things a little bit easier for them, and also maybe working together closely with the equipment manufacturers to be able to utilize and get the best of that equipment. You raised a valid point, David, and I want to go back on this very quickly about that 30-something crowd in there, sort of the in-between, if you will. A lot of them, of course, have tied up with family obligations, youngsters they've got to look after, or even teenagers that they're dealing with. What are some things that we can do in the industry to get them more involved? Obviously, you mentioned one as an example, maybe having some events or things go on that can get the whole family involved. What are some other things that you can think of, or maybe some of your other associates that you're at Bridgestone maybe have talked about that we can do as an industry?
Well, I mean, from the golf professional side and the involvement at the green grass level, it's imperative that you create an atmosphere where the total family can be involved within that round, and it doesn't have to be a full round. It could be a three-hole event. It could be a 6-hole or or whatever, and you could create fun activities. I mean, I used to do those once a month when I was at private club. I would create and have a parent-child, or where they would come out, or a father-son, or a mother-daughter, and just create that, and then go out and play 9 holes, and then have some kind of a luncheon for them, just to get them to spend a couple hours with each other. A lot of times it's so difficult. I mean, and I didn't put an age restriction to it either, because let's face it, we need to spend more time with our parents when they're only here such a brief period anyway. So, if you can play with your 80-year-old father, I mean, that's fine too. So anything that's going to create the interest. I know a lot of guys are doing junior leagues and league play, which is really cool. That was something that was talked about years ago, and I'm glad that they've come to fruition with trying to institute that with league play within other country clubs and team atmosphere, just like in a golf team. So that's kind of cool.
There's been a lot of talk, recently about putting a lot of focus, and I've mentioned it myself, to be honest, obviously on junior golf, helping to grow junior golf, because that's an area that we want to develop, and also in the women's market as well. That's an area that really still miles away. Being, I think now, if I look at the stats of the 25 or so million golfers here in the United States, I would say probably conservatively at least 70% are male, maybe 20% are female. Does Bridgestone recognize that? Are they maybe looking at ways to do things with their products or lines to get more women involved?
Well, at this time they are not, and I don't know what they have future down the line. I mean, we still are the number one manufacturer of ladies golf ball, the Lady Bridgestone Precept. And, that is the number one selling ladies ball. But as far as from the equipment side, a lot of what we're finding is the ladies are also fitting into the E5, 6, and 7 because the lady golfer that's out there is more educated. And let's face it, they're a little bit more athletic than they were 20 or 30 years ago. So, and that's because they're more physically active. So it's just a different clientele. A lot of the men's equipment, we have women that are playing. We just put different shafts in them. So it's a double-edged sword.
Right. And what about also too? Right. There's another area too that I wonder sometimes if the industry is maybe missing the boat on, or missing an opportunity on, as an example. With the big influx of course baby boomers right now, there's a lot of us that are moving into that next phase, retirement phase, and so forth, which is going to be a huge amount of the population. What is the industry, and obviously I'm referring to I mean, you can only speak on behalf of Bridgestone, but what is the industry doing to sort of recognize or go after that market? Because that's really there's going to be a lot of disposable income as people go into retirement. They're going to be looking to do things, and golf is a great sport because, as you mentioned, you can play with your 80-year-old, father. There's going to be a lot of opportunities in a very big market, many of whom maybe are not into golf, and it's never too late, of course, get somebody involved. Is there attention, do you think, being given in that area as well?
Well, I believe from the PGA professional standpoint there is. I mean, there's a number of golf professionals that are going to hospices and teaching golf at hospices. And they're actually, not the $99 lesson program the PGA puts out every year. That's another way. I mean, there are a number of seniors that are entering the golfing market that never played before, and it's because they want to have something that's a low-impact physical activity and something fun to do. So I think that is an influx that's going to take place and replace some of the aging golfers that are leaving the golfing market. So that's a good thing, and the PGA is really tempted to try to gain access to those players.
And I think too, as more women get involved and into the game as well. I can, see a real opportunity for the industry, and especially to erupt with some, some other outside, whether it be, business and things like that, especially women, where they can be looking at, couples playing, more and more couples out playing, as opposed to just the traditional, weekend foursome of four guys. There's going to be a whole market as that generation, as I just mentioned, start getting out there into retirement because, I think that as the global economy changes and people are traveling more and wanting to go to resorts and things like that, the golf industry, I think, would really benefit and help grow the game again if it focuses on that. Do you see it happening as well now, and do you see it happening more as that generation gets into retirement?
Yeah, I agree with you totally. I mean, I think what some of the places are doing is they're creating golf packages for couples. So, and giving them more alternative than just playing golf. They're creating other activities to get them there and then including the golf. So, yeah, I mean, that's a very, very good, true statement.
Right. Now, you've also got some other new stuff coming out at Bridgestone. In addition to your 5 sets of irons, you've got what else have you got coming out for next year?
Well, we'll have new fairway woods and hybrids, and we'll also have some new wedges coming through the ranks. So full product line.
Any changes?
Oh yeah,
as far as
all of it's changed. We've
also
go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Yeah, we just changed up the hybrid has more of a cambered sole on the bottom of it, so you can pick it off with tight lies. It also has adjustability as far as weight on those clubs, the fairway and the hybrid. And then the wedges are very unique in themselves that we've taken and put what we call a versatility spinning approach. So we've actually cut some of the backside off of the flange, and we added a loft of 50 degrees to it as well. So it's more of a teardrop shaped wedge, and it's more of a traditional wedge. So it's really cool looking.
And this, most of the equipment new equipment that you've got coming out is going to be available primarily in 2015, or is any of it going to be on the market right now?
No, all of it will be available except for the cast model and the pocket slit, the dual pocket slit iron. That'll be available in April. We also will have some left-handed availability in certain product in the cast iron, and in the cavity back iron. We'll have that in the left hand, and then the driver in fairway and hybrid and a couple of the wedges. So that's the first time we've ever had left hand in Bridgestone product.
Oh wow. Very, very interesting and certainly very exciting. And I know that much of this, if not all of it, will be, I'm sure, featured at the upcoming PGA show in January, and I look forward to see that. And also you'll be launching a new ball as well. to an already very impressive line at Bridgestone. David, I want to thank you for coming on and talking a little bit, and not just about the Bridgestone, but also just golf in general. And a lot of exciting things happening at your organization, and I'm sure you're very eager to dive in for the new season. And well, of course, down here we get to play all year round, but it's going to be an exciting 2015, I'm sure, for Bridgestone, and I want to wish Bridgestone and your staff and team all the best and much continued success. And we appreciate you coming on and sharing that with the listeners tonight.
Hey, thank you so much, Ted. I really enjoyed it, and anytime.
All right. Well, I appreciate it, David. Thank you again for coming on Golf Talk Live.
Thank you, Ted. Have a great evening.
All right. You have a great holiday. Was, of course, David Juhola, story manager at Bridgestone, Panhandle of Florida, and got a lot of new products coming out. And make sure that you check out bridgestonegolf.com for some of the new coming out, and also for a new set of clubs or irons. And you want to get fitted properly, you can visit their website as well, and they can tell you where you can put little hands on some of the product. And also, if you need to be mentioned, if you need it to be fitted properly for the golf ball as well, they have a process on their website that you can just provide the information. If you purchased maybe a new driver and you want to make sure that you're matching it up with the right ball, you can go on there and plug in the added information of that, and they can fit you up with the appropriate ball that goes with that. As I mentioned to the listeners earlier, here just a few moments from here on Barry and Carly Ray Goldstein, and looking forward to having them on here. Just want to remind everybody, of course, we're on blog.com, Golf Talk Live from 6 to 8 p.m. Central Time. That's 7 Eastern Time for those of you on the East Coast. And if you're looking to on social media, you can do so at facebook.com/Golf Talk Live blog. And while you're there, make sure that you throw a few likes our way. Appreciate that always. And you can at Ted and Buck CEO. And I certainly appreciate the people following there. And that's Ted and Buck CEO, capital O. And all Golf Talk at www.talklive.com. And I see that I've got Barry or Carly Ray that's holding here for me, but quickly introduce to them, and we'll see who we got here. Of course, Barry Goldstein and Carly Ray were on the show last year, as you recall, as I mentioned earlier in the broadcast. Ray, of course, started her sophomore year last year at LSU, and of course was playing on the women's golf team. We're going to talk to her for a few minutes here and find out what happened last season, doing with her summer. And of course, her dad, Barry Goldstein, of course, a great teaching professional for years, and was just recently voted once again among the top 30 instructors by Golf Tips magazine. So we're going to talk to him as well a little bit, and also his daughter Carly Ray. Let me bring them on, and let's see in Carly Ray.
Hey, Ted, how are you?
Good evening, and welcome to Golf Talk Live.
Good. It's our pleasure.
Too bad. I'll have you on the program, Barry. Appreciate it.
Hey, Ted, it's my pleasure. I meet a lot of people, but when you came up and met me, you made a nice impression, so it's a pleasure to be on again. I hope you're doing good.
I'm doing fantastic, and Barry, of course, is referring to the January. We had spoken, and of course, Barry and Carly Ray were on the program last year, just before she was sick. And but we had actually never met personally, so when I was down at the PGA show, I had to make sure that I made a point to meet with Barry, and certainly enjoyed meeting him, and what a great guy, Barry. And congratulations again among the top 30 instructors at Tips magazine.
Thanks, Ted. That's really nice of you. I appreciate it. It's quite an honor. So, yeah, thank you. My daughter, of course, she's up at LSU, and she's going to be calling in shortly. She's not living with me right now. She's living at college, so I don't have control of her schedule as much, and they had a last-minute sophomore athletic meeting for anybody that's on a full-ride athletic sophomores. So she should be with you shortly. But,
yeah, it's tough when it's tough, and it's difficult for you. I know to you and of course both of you, Bree and Carly Ray, are very close, and I know that it's they both bring you a lot. You've worked very, very hard with Carly Ray on her golf and helping her to groom her into what she has now, and certainly a great asset at LSU. I want you to just let everybody know just a little bit of some of the things that you've worked on over the years with Carly Ray.
Oh, my gosh, Ted, I'm a huge fundamentalist. I mean, grip, aim, stance, posture, ball position, swing plane, balance, short game, mental toughness. I'm really, really big on the fundamentals. I think that there's a lot of overcoaching going on nowadays, and, I think there's a lot of people that put the horse before the cart, and I'm definitely more into the fundamentals, and I've started her from day one with good basics. So we're always working on her fundamentals. We're always working on her short game, her putting, her chipping, inside 100 yards. We're always working on that.
Do you find that by doing so, when she's in a situation where maybe she's a little bit, that just reminds those fundamentals, that helps her sort of regroup, if you will?
Yeah, Carly's really been very fortunate. She's really never had a down period with a game. Last year, maybe as a freshman in college, she was off her game for a period, although she did have a second-place finish. But, she's never really battled through much. Until last year, she had a little down period. But in general, she's been a great player her whole life. I mean, really, she's been very successful her whole life. And I think a lot of it can be traced back to the fact that she's learned the game from scratch. She learned it from 3 years old, starting with how to hold it. And I've always made it fun for her, and she loves it, And I think, like I said, I think there's a lot of overcoaching going on out there, and I just am very leery of it. And Carly only listens to one person when it comes to golf instruction or anything to do with golf, and that would be me. And I think that's a pretty good way to go. She doesn't have a lot going around in her head. We keep it simple. We keep it sharp. We keep it repetitive, and I try to keep it fun for her.
And that's extremely important. Fun being a word. I mean, I think that you have to enjoy whatever it is that you're doing fun at it, then it becomes a very daunting task. Let me ask you, though, Barry, really, I think an honest question. Obviously, there's a lot of examples that we've seen at a professional level where a parent has tried to, work with their child and make whatever capacity is on the line, but Cole, obviously I know it's very easy for you, knowing your personality, but is that a sort of a difficult law for a parent and especially somebody that wants to play at the level that Carly Ray does? Balance there. How do you work it? You're not too overpowering and she's able to do what she needs to do, and is there a time that you back off?
Well, let me tell you, I think Carly and I have a very nice relationship. We're best friends, father, daughter, and golf pro teacher. And the thing I've always done with Carly, and I try to do with all my students, when it's time to focus, it's time to focus. But when we're done focusing, let's have fun. And let's not make golf a 24-hour day, 365-day-a-year endeavor, because it'll burn you out so fast.
Yep.
You wouldn't imagine how quick you could lose the fun of it. So we're very careful with that. We take a lot of time off. I've never burned Carly out, I don't think. And I think, any student I get, I want them to work hard. But when the time comes to turn golf off, I like them to turn it off, turn it 100% off. Being a top-ranked teacher myself, there's times I'll be out to dinner and students want to come up and talk golf. And, of course, I'm always friendly. But the last thing I want to be thinking about at 8 o'clock at night is golf. I'm thinking about it all day long. So, that's the last thing I want to be thinking about as I'm eating dinner with my daughters. So, we definitely have the gift of turning it off, Ted. And I think what I see going on in the golf world today is just way, way, way too much overcoaching and scientific mathematics that have taken over where people have forgotten how to play the game. And I just – it's a crime to me what I see going on, and I just don't like it. And, everything is a great tool for teaching. Everything is really good to use. But when you get reliant on science and math and numbers, you've lost the ability to play golf. And I think that's what's happening with a lot of players.
Well, exactly, and I've said this very openly on the program in the past. One of the things that I've seen, as you said, with technology, they're all great tools, but that's exactly what they are. They're a tool to assist you, but they're not to overtake or overcompensate for your abilities. And the one thing I've always said is, what does a teacher do if suddenly the power fails or the battery dies in this wonderful, gizmo that they're using out on the thing? They need to have something to fall back on. So if you're relying too much on technology all the time, and that's not to say that it doesn't have a place, then you run it. You know what I'm talking about, though. Because it's true. I mean, what are you going to do if you're relying on, right?
Yes, I'm 51 years old, so I'm not old school, but I'm not new school. I'm sort of middle school, and I'm lucky. I have everything at my fingertips that I want to use, but I think with most students, 99%, I teach a large stable of good players. Carly is a great, great golfer, and I have a lot of other good golfers that I teach.
Yeah.
I have a lot of Division I college players, some professionals, and a lot of really good junior players, and very careful with how I teach them. I don't want to overcoach them. I don't want them burned out and overcoached by the time they're 19, 20 years old, and I see that a lot.
And the other thing too is I think there's, I'm like you. I'm pretty much like you down the road. I certainly have an interest in the technology. Same with the equipment, and we'll talk about that here in just a minute. But one of the, I think is happening in overload. I think that there's just so much numbers and figures and stats being thrown, and it is interesting, if it was rolled into a documentary. But to have it on a daily basis, if the student's getting too much information thrown at them, the process it fast enough, and ultimately what ends up happening is it inhibits them from absorbing it properly.
Well, let me tell you, the only time, in my opinion, I'll just use my daughter as an example. I like all of my students, but there's one that I love with my whole heart. It's my daughter. She's my flesh and blood, and I love her. And
sure.
I keep my daughter away from 99.99% of anything to do with golf except what her and I do. I don't want her listening to anything because there's so much bunk out there. There's people that really, they're throwing videos out on YouTube. They don't have any golf students to teach, but they're experts on golf, and I don't want my daughter caught up in that. She's a great kid. She has fun with it. She has proven she could play with anybody in the world, and we're just going to keep doing the same thing we're doing and having fun with it. When it's time to focus, we focus hard, and we like to use everything at our fingertips to make her a better player. But I think when it comes down to it, Ted, it's a game, it's a sport, and you need to play it, and you need to play it with a smile on your face and enjoy it. Fight as hard as you can. When it's done, get away from it.
And that's 100% correct. That impressed me, and I guys last time when you were on the show, really about Carly Ray was the fact that she was a very humble young lady. There's a lot of people that given her talent, could let it go to their head and become very arrogant. And obviously, that's a credit to you, Barry, for being and helping keep her grounded, because it would be very easily for somebody with her kind of talent to gravitate. We've seen that. You've seen that in the pro level. You don't need to name names, but you know what I'm talking about. That was
That's very kind of you. Yeah,
what would you say?
Very kind of you. Mm-hmm.
But you know I'm right. I'm right, and I'm not just saying that because you're on the program. I mean, I said that to you the last time, and I believe I said that to you in person as well at the PGA. But that's really impressed me when we were talking last time on the show here is the fact she's very humble. She certainly recognizes and acknowledges that talent, that she's been given a gift and nurtured and put along the way by yourself. She's not so absorbed in her ability, gets that she's only human, and she's going to have some mistakes along the way, and hopefully learn from them, of course, but she's able to process. Do you know what I'm saying?
I know exactly what you're saying, Ted, and I think, unfortunately in the day and age we live in, the only person that brags on my daughter is me. That's my job. I'm her father. I'm a proud dad, If I ever heard my daughter talking anything about herself, that's very unattractive quality, and I put an end to it. Luckily, it's not in her genes. She's just not like that. I think, when she was growing up, I always had her play with I mean, Natalie Gobus played golf with. There was, LPGA Tour players that I taught, Tina Miller, Anna Knutson, that were her good friends, and I'd let her skip school. She'd be 9, 10 years old, and she'd be playing golf with girls that are on the tour, because I was giving them a lesson that day. So she saw what it's all about, and it's a very humbling game, and as soon as you think you're good at it, the golf gods will knock you right down. So Carly and I are our feet are very right on the ground with golf, and, we know when Carly plays well, her future is going to be very bright. And, let's just keep our fingers crossed and just keep going. We're just going to keep going. I don't think as soon as you start talking about how good you are at something, you're not that good at it. So, that's just our motto is let me brag about her. I love to brag about her because she's my kid. I'm just a proud dad. But as far as a golf pro, we both know how hard golf is. And nothing's given. There's nothing given to you, and there's no certainties. Just, I remember when she won the high school golf championship in Florida, she won the state championship. There was kids in her class, until they hung the banner in the gym, some kids didn't even know Carly was a golfer in her class, some of her good friends. And that just tells you a little bit, we don't go running around. And, you got to keep it in perspective. It's a part of our life. It's not our life. It's a part of our life.
Right. Right, and that's so true, and it's true what they say. Golf really mimics life in general in so many ways, and I think that's a great life lesson that she's obviously learned through her journey playing golf, is that she's to the fruits of her labor, if you will, of her hard work and all of the hours that she's put in. But at the same
Ted,
time,
I see she's calling my phone right now. Should I answer it? She's calling me.
Sure. Yeah, you go ahead. Go ahead.
Hold on 1 second.
Mm-hmm. All right. Let me just remind everybody that that's tuning in to the broadcast. Of course, we're live from 6 to 8 p.m. Central Standard Time. That's 7 to 9 Eastern Time. And while Barry's talking with Carly, we're waiting for hopefully Carly to call in here. She's, as he mentioned just a few moments ago, that she's had a last. Yep.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Did I lose
go ahead.
you? She's going to be calling in your number. She thought she was supposed to call her dad, but I told her to call your number.
No.
She's in a meeting with they have all the football team, all the baseball guys, all the golf guys, the tennis guys. There's a sophomore meeting, so she stepped out. Her coach let her step out to call in. So you should be hearing from her momentarily. But, Ted, golf's just a part of life. It's not our whole life. I mean, when she turns professional, it'll be a bigger part of our life. But, right now, it's a large part of our life, but we have a big life outside of golf,
Yeah, and that's true. And I know from seeing the many updates and out on social media, you guys had a great time this summer. You obviously there was some golf involved, but you also did some other things. You went to some baseball games and recently, and did some other stuff. And that's the fun of it, and that's part of being a parent, obviously, and enjoying, as you said, being with your daughters and having a good time. And there's a time for golf, but there's also time for just having some fun. But I've got a few things when Carly Ray. Sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to say the big thing, Ted. I think with anybody that's a world-class athlete, if you let it take 24 hours of your day and 365 days of your year, I don't think you're going to be good at it for a long, long time. And I want my daughter to have a long career, and I want her to enjoy it. And I have a feeling she's in for a nice long career, and I think she's going to be a successful golfer. And I don't want to burn her out. And I think when you make something that strong, that much overpowering in your life, it burns you out. And I just don't want to do that.
Yeah, exactly. Barry, I see she's just called in here. Let me bring her on and have her join us here. Good evening, Carly Ray, and welcome to Golf Talk Live.
Hi, thank you for having me.
Not a problem.
I love
Thank
that
you
voice.
for sneaking out of your meeting.
Yeah, I had to do a little bit of convincing, but they told me I could get out for a couple minutes.
Well, that's okay. Well, listen, I'll tell you what, Barry, if you want to just sit tight for a second, I just got a couple of quick things to ask Carly Ray, because I know, unfortunately, Carly Ray, I know you're really busy right now, and I appreciate you taking some time out, and please extend a thank you to the powers that be for allowing you to do so. Obviously, you had your first year at LSU last year, Carly Ray. Give me an overall caption of how was your experience your first year at university.
Well, it was a big adjustment going from high school golf, living at home, and everything just like straight into college and college golf. But I'd say it was a really good experience. I think I grew a lot as a person, and golf was, I definitely didn't have my best golf year, but I had a strong finish in a tournament in Dallas, and overall I think it was a really good experience for me, and just made me even more excited to come back this year and get back playing some more golf.
Did you find your experience, because obviously, predominantly in your junior career, of course, you're playing by yourself, and it's you against the other opponents. Here you're involved with a team. Did you find that there was an adjustment? I mean, I don't know what your experience is in playing on teams before, but was there an adjustment for you playing in a team format?
I would say there was an adjustment, but not as much as you'd think, because even though you're playing on a team, you're still when you're actually playing, you're still, in the same format as I would be in junior golf, but it's more like you're happy when your team does well, and even if you don't have your best game, maybe if one of your teammates plays really well, it's just a different dynamic because I had never played on in a team setting. I've always been, I'd never played any other sports growing up besides golf, which is a very individual sport. So, I'd say there was like a good adjustment, but overall it was really fun. And it was a good experience.
Now, given your background, obviously very impressive as a junior, did your teammates obviously aware of what tournaments that you've played in and so forth? Did they look to you? Did some of your teammates or any of your teammates look to you for any sort of leadership while you were at LSU?
Yeah, absolutely. We had two awesome seniors last year, and they were really helpful as helping me and the other girl who was a freshman, Caroline Eastrup, get adjusted and stuff. And they were just really helpful, and the whole team was very welcoming and would help us out with whatever we needed and kind of just guide us through our freshman year.
Fantastic. So,
yeah.
How did your team overall last year finish in the standings?
I think we finished overall 23rd. We made it to SECs, and then I think our 2014 ranking is 23rd, I believe.
Very good. Now, what are you going to play this year, do you think? How are you going to approach your year this year?
I'm just going into it. I had a really good summer season, and I'm confident with my game right now. So pretty much just looking at it as getting to play a lot of tournaments.
Now, you obviously had some tournaments that you played through the summer, and I know you're under time restraint, Carly Ray. So if you need to go at any point, you can just chime in and let me know, and
okay.
we'll get you back another time when you have some more. But don't feel you're being rude or anything if you have to do that. I understand. I totally understand. You obviously played a lot of golf through the summer as well. I saw many of the updates that your dad put on Facebook and that. Just give us maybe a couple of the highlights that were really that you really enjoyed, and how did things go?
Well, we went out right when I got home, I had the U.S. Open qualifier, and I played it pretty well, but I didn't make it. I think I missed by 3 or 4 strokes. That was my first tournament back, and then we went straight into a qualifier for the U.S. Pub Links, and I shot 68 to qualify for that, which was in Seattle. Then right before we went to Seattle, I went to North Carolina to try to qualify for the USAM, and I was also lucky enough to qualify for that one. So we had a busy summer. We traveled to North Carolina, Seattle, New York, and just played a ton of golf tournaments. It was my first 2 USGA events, so it was definitely a cool experience getting out there and pretty much just getting my first real taste of those big-time events. So that was awesome.
What do you think, if anything, that you took away from your first year at LSU and I'm referring to obviously your golf team, what were some of the things, just a couple of things that you can think of that you took away from your experience last year that's going to help you this year?
I would just say it was the first year that I really had any adversity to overcome as far as my golf game. And I think getting back to playing really well after a year that I wasn't happy with, I think has really helped me grow as a golfer and as a person. And just get back on track. And I know that, that I'm going to struggle. And if I can just, get past it, then all will be well.
Now, on an un-golf-related, how was your first year at LSU as a student?
It was awesome. I love it here. There's nothing like it. I mean, the football games are insane. So really looking forward to next week. Tomorrow's our first game, but it's not home, or Saturday rather. But those are always so much fun. And then the people here are just so nice. Just all that Southern hospitality is really cool. So it's good, and I've made awesome friends, so I can't complain.
Yeah, it sounds like you've had a great time, and what a great opportunity to get a first-class education, but also get a chance to play for a top-rated women's golf team as well. And I won't give the thumbs up for the LSU Tigers because I'm an Auburn Tigers fan. So there's a little bit of rivalry.
We won't hold it against you. It's all right.
I can.
We better get off the air now, Carly. We're hanging up on them.
But I do
Carly,
actually have
Carly
to go.
Ray, I will support the LSU. No, you got to go.
Just the women's golf team. That's all you have to support for the Tigers.
Yeah.
The right Tigers.
That's right. I will support. Yeah, I will support the LSU women's golf team 100%. But when it comes to the football, I'm sorry, I have to call foul on that one.
That's all right.
Well, Carly Ray, obviously, obviously you're going to be getting ready in the next little bit. When do you actually start playing your first golf again on the team?
First tournament is. Well, we have our practices start this Monday, and then we have our first tournament coming up in Nashville on September 19th, I believe it starts. So we're all looking forward to that.
Yeah, on the 19th, you said?
Yes.
Okay. I'm going to have to make a note of that. Barry, I'm going to get you to when
I'll remind
maybe the
you.
next
I'll
bit,
remind
you.
You.
Shoot me because Nashville's on my radar in the next little while, so I might make a run up there and come and watch. So
maybe I'll meet.
Oh my gosh, that'd be awesome.
Maybe I'll meet you there, Ted.
I'll come and support the women's.
To get going, did I hear you tell Ted you gotta go?
I do. I keep getting called in. But I just want to thank you for having me, and it was great talking to you again.
Well, I appreciate it, Carly Ray. Back anytime, and we'll get you back. We'll get you back on when you have a few minutes to spare. Appreciate it. Go and have a great year at
thank you.
and success this year.
Definitely.
All right.
Sounds great.
Love you, honey. Bye.
All right.
Bye.
Well, you know what's funny?
Okay, that was, of course. What's that?
You know what's so funny? When she was giving you a little synopsis of her tournament, she is a modest kid because she didn't tell you the 68 was a course record. You know, she beat Lexi Thompson's course record. So she's a modest kid. And when she didn't tell you when she qualified for the U.S. Amateur, there's 103 women there. She was the only one to break par. She beat 103 women. So that's just the way she is, you know. And I think that's awesome. And if it was me, I'd be the same way. But as her dad, you know, I figured I'd give you those details. So, I mean, she had a great summer.
Well, that's exactly it. Barry, I see, and I'm hoping that they're calling in to speak to us, but I see we have a call on the line, so let me bring them online here and see see who we've got here, all right?
Yep.
Hello.
All right, good evening and welcome to Golf Talk Live. You're on with Barry Goldstein.
Yes.
Good evening and welcome to Golf Talk Live.
Good evening. This is Mike from New York.
Hey, Mike. How are you, Mike?
Hey, Barry. How are you?
Good, buddy. You just missed the champs. You had to go back to a meeting, but it's great to hear from you.
I know it, but you can answer this question that I was going to ask Carly.
Of course.
What is her favorite golf course?
Oh, both of our favorite courses, Mike, are Pebble Beach by a mile. Pebble Beach is it's got to be the most beautiful woman you ever saw, the most beautiful song you ever heard, the best food you ever tasted. Pebble Beach is definitely our favorite course, Mike.
And do you know what her most memorable moment is to this point? And she's had a fabulous career already.
Yes.
Does anything stick out?
to answer for Carly, if I had to answer that for Carly, I know what it would be. I think the day she shot 69 to win the Florida State High School Championship was a great moment for her because neither of us really took high school golf that seriously, and she really only tried that 1 year. And she was leading after 18 holes by one. She shot 71 in the first round. And then she was even par in the second round through like 11 holes, but trailing by one because a girl made like 2 birdies. She birdied 3 out of the last 8 holes and shot 69 to win by 4. And I know that was just something that she knew was the only chance she had to win that tournament, and she went and did it. So I'd have to say she came off the green, and, you know, we had a good minute hug there, and I would say that's probably Carly's favorite moment. I got to tell you, Mike, playing Pebble Beach on national TV, that was pretty special too, you know?
Oh, I'm sure.
Yeah. Well, you've seen Carly practice, Mike. You know, would you say Mike Ted lives in our hometown of Binghamton, New York. Great guy. He's known me and Carly since Carly was a tyke. I mean, since she was really learning how to walk. Mike, would you say are we pretty good at focusing when it's time to focus and then turning off?
Oh, absolutely.
I think that's important in any sport or any business. You know, you just can't go at it 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.
Yeah, she's an amazing young lady and very talented.
Thank you, Mike. Thanks.
Mike,
very proud of her.
Mike, let me ask you a quick question here, if I can, just for a second. This is Ted.
Yes,
Mike,
Ted.
you've obviously been around both Barry and Carly Ray. You know, pretty much all Carly Ray's life. What is one of the things that impressed you most about her?
She's so mature for her age and always has been. And again, the focus that she has, she knows how to be her own person. But she has such a work ethic, it's unbelievable.
That's a great comment, Ted. I would say Carly and I are both very comfortable in our own skin, if you know what I mean, and she's very much her own person. That's a great comment, Mike.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Well, I know you have other callers, so I'll let you go.
Yep.
Mike, it was great.
Actually we do. We have another one. Mike, I want to thank you for calling in, and we appreciate it, and thanks for supporting the program. Appreciate it.
Okay. Thank you, Ted, and thank you, Barry.
Stay healthy, Mike.
All right.
You too. Take care.
All right, Barry, let's bring on, we got another caller here.
Sure, Ted.
Good evening, and welcome to Golf Talk Live. You're on here with Barry Goldstein.
Hey, Barry, this is Gary Chapman. How you doing?
Hey, what's up, Gary? How are you?
I'm doing well. It's good to hear your daughter on the air. Sounds like she had a great year.
Well, just to let you know about Gary, Ted, his son is a Major League Baseball player, so Gary's got some talent in the family as well. I used to play baseball with Gary, and I played baseball together when we were 18, 20, 22 years old, so we go back a long way. Thanks, Gary. Yeah, your son's doing great. My daughter's doing great. It's exciting.
Yeah, praise God. The thing with that, though, I like a lot of what you said as far as outside of golf, you just have fun, and that's the same it is with Kevin, too. Like, when he's home, the last thing he wants to do is talk about baseball.
Exactly, Gary. You get that as a parent. You know, not only am I Carly's parent, but I'm her coach, her teacher, her best friend, and I just know that you got to get away from it. And Ted, Gary's son is a blazing fastball pitcher, great arm, and, you know, he's a major league pitcher. So, you know, you can't talk pitching 24/7, 365 days a year. He'll get burned out. And Gary's been down the road that I'm on, and, you know, his son has made it to the highest level. And, you know, so to talk to Gary about something like that is Gary and I bump into each other around town. He lives here in Coral Springs where I live. I've known him since I was 18, 19 years old. It's just refreshing to hear him say that because I know that as a teacher. But Gary is his parent, and he knows that his son just can't be like that all day, every day, or you get burned out.
Yeah, and you have to find balance in everything. Gary, let me ask you the same question I posed to Mike here just a minute ago, since obviously you know Carly Ray very well. What are some of the things that impressed you most about her as a young lady?
Well, I've known Barry for a long time. Barry and I, we run into each other because he travels back and forth from New York and different places, and we run into each other in Barnes & Noble. and so I know her like pre-college, and I knew her like when she was in high school. But she had a good head on her shoulders, very composed. Like when my wife and I were listening to her right now, she seems like a very sweet girl, very genuine. Like Barry said, she's humble. And I think those are like a lot of the characteristics that just leads to greatness that like Barry said, like with golf, and I don't play, but I have a good friend, John, that's in the business. And as soon as you think you're good, same thing with baseball. Next thing you know, you're going to see that you got something else to learn.
Exactly. And Gary, his son has been through some. His son's been through some major arm issues, and as a pitcher, Ted, I don't have to tell you how crucial that is. So his son not only has his son had success to make it to the major leagues, he also had major arm problems. I mean, that humbles you. Just like, it's like a golfer like Carly shooting 78. It humbles you. It brings you back down there very fast.
Yeah, Kathy says that if Carly was a couple of years older, we would introduce the two kids.
Hey, I love you, Gary, but then I'd have to break your arms, man. Come on.
Okay.
You know I love you, Gary, but come on, man. I'm teasing you.
That's funny, man. Let her get through college and have a good time, right?
All right, buddy. Good calling in, Gary. Good talking with you.
All right. Take care. Nice show.
You too, buddy.
Bye.
All right. Thanks, Gary, for calling in.
Well, she could do worse. She could do worse than a Major League Baseball player, right, Ted?
That's true. Hey, you never know. Right now, she's got too much to focus on in her own life, and that'll happen when it's meant to happen. But Barry, let's talk a little golf here for a second.
Of course.
Just to change topics. We'll get back to some things about Carly Ray, but I wanted to sort of pick your brains. We talked a little bit about some of the technology in that, and I had a gentleman on earlier from Bridgestone, one of the area managers in that. And I want to talk about the equipment. There's been a lot of changes, and certainly I love some of the stuff that's happened. But one of the things that I'm always a little bit cautious of is, and I understand it's a marketing thing with a lot of the equipment, but one of the things that I see happening is a lot of people have gone out and bought into this. Well, if I just get this piece of equipment or if I get that piece of equipment, my game is suddenly going to change. And you and I know that handicaps really haven't changed a lot in the last 20 years. What's your take on equipment, pros and cons?
Well, my take on equipment, pros and cons, I'll use my daughter as an example. I think she's had 4 drivers, 2 putters, 3 sets of irons her entire life, Ted. We don't change things. When she's playing well, we keep what she's got in the bag. And I do think for the average golfer, once you've been fit, it's a great thing to get fit, stick with the clubs and get used to them. I see too many people, they've got new clubs in their bag every 3 months. You can't play like that. You cannot play like that, No. For example, my daughter played the same set of irons from age 11 until she went to LSU as a freshman. She replaced them. And a little bit of last year was getting used to her new equipment. She'd fly green, she'd come up short, she wasn't sure what her yardages were. And, Carly didn't tell you, but when she got home from college, her and I worked her tail off. And I'm sure there's a lot of my students and friends and parents listening, and they know how hard we worked, and it immediately paid off. Right. I made three or four little changes, Ted, and we did add 1 new club. She had a TaylorMade. We're with TaylorMade, so I don't want to sound like I'm selling TaylorMade because I'm not, but we're with TaylorMade, and they sent to me a slider driver for 12, 13 yards, and that's huge at her level. That's a difference, hitting a pitching wedge in instead of a 9-iron or hitting a 5-iron in instead of a hybrid. And that's a big change. It's a big addition. You give a girl like Carly 12 more yards, she just ate it up, But I don't think the average guy, Ted, is going to benefit at all from switching clubs often. What I would say to them, get a good fundamentals, learn how to play golf, get a good set of clubs that's fit for you, and go play. Go play.
Well, you're right. You raise a very valid point, and going back to Carly Ray for just a second.
Sure.
Carly Ray is playing at a level that she's able to make equipment changes and reap some of the benefits of that technology. Whereas the average golfer out there that maybe doesn't put as much effort and time and doesn't have the same skill level as, say, Carly Ray does, is not going to see those changes. And that's the problem that I have with it. I don't have a problem in somebody changing equipment. What I get concerned about is people buying into the marketing and being sold, equipment assuring them, 10, 20, 30 extra yards, but not really doing anything. Do you understand what I'm saying? That's what I guard against.
You just hit the nail on the head, and it's a bad thing to. They shouldn't really market that because it's a falsity that they're marketing. But it's a business and they're trying to sell golf clubs. But I will say this: I will say that 8 out of 10 people out there that are listening that are just your normal golfers that are playing once a week, if you get fit for a proper set of clubs, they're going to last you a long time if you're an adult. You're not going to need to change clubs every year. Carly is growing and maturing. It's a different story with somebody like that. But you get a guy who's 35, 40 years old who plays once every 2 weeks, he doesn't need to change his clubs once he's been fit for a long time because he's not going to change.
Right, exactly. And that's the thing. And, I would rather see that individual take that, $300-400 that they're spending on a new driver every year and putting that to and getting, connected with a great teaching professional and working on some of the areas, especially the short game. Especially the short game.
Couldn't agree with you more.
That's one area. Yeah, and I think what's happening now, Barry, is I think you're seeing from the public's perspective, I think you're seeing a lot of the public starting to get wise to, and I'm not trying to knock, and I've said this 1,000 times on the show, I'm not trying to knock the equipment companies or anything. I understand what they're trying to do, but I think that the consumers are starting to get a little smarter and starting to realize that, my game's not getting any better, and I've changed 3 drivers in the last 3 years. So
there you go. You know, Ted, I'm a little less shy than you, and if I were going to knock something in the golf business, I would knock it. It's insane that people would buy new clubs all the time. It's insane that every lesson they take is on the full golf swing because, to be honest, I'll just use my daughter as an example. Out of every 5 hours we spend on her game, 3.5 is inside 100 yards. And if you ask me how much of that is on chipping and putting, 75% of that. So we spend so much more time chipping, putting, pitching. We love to practice pitching. And she's great at it. She gets up and down from 50, 60, 40 yards. Uncanny. She's great at it. And it's because we work on it. We work on it smart. We work on it hard. I think to stand out on a driving range and banging golf balls with a computer behind you, trying to make numbers that you like on a computer screen, last I checked, people that play good golf, it doesn't mean a whole lot to them what they're getting on numbers. All I care about is what did my daughter shoot? That's what I care about. What did you shoot? Did you shoot 68? You played great. Shot 75? You didn't play your best. I feel like the golf industry, especially in the teaching industry, Ted, is going in a direction that doesn't impress me at all. And I think it's a shame because I think there's people that go to take a golf lesson and get scared off the golf game. They get bored off the golf game. They get intimidated by teachers talking with words and showing them numbers that mean nothing to them. And it bothers me a little bit as somebody that's 51, been teaching full-time 20 years, 19 years. It bothers me a little bit because luckily my students aren't dealing with it. They're having a ball and they're getting better. I don't like when I see people go for lessons. If anything, not only don't they get better, but they're not having fun. That bothers me.
Yeah, and a good example of that, when we were down at the PGA show back in January, I obviously walked around for many hours just to look at some of the stuff that was there. And again, I'm not going to get specific, but there was a lot of things, certainly a lot of technology there. And it's interesting from a technological standpoint. It's interesting to see it. But when I started to process it a little bit later on in my hotel room, and I'm thinking, okay, how's that really going to help somebody's golf game? And I started sort of crunching my own numbers. It just didn't compute, if you will. This is the thing, and you hit it. Yeah, and you said it, really perfectly. Is all I care about at the end of the day is what did I shoot.
It's the first question
how
I
got
ask my students. It's the first thing I ask my students. What was your score?
Yeah, whether my right arm was in, you know what I mean? And this is where people fall into the trap. It's like, here's a good example, and I've said this many times on the show. Here's a good example of this. If you go back to the golfers and I'm referring to, I'm the same age as you are. I'm about a year younger than you, I think, or half a year anyways. But, I grew up in the Nicklaus and Trevino and Palmer era were primarily the golfers that I followed growing up. And I look at the diversity of golf swings. Now, they all
there you go.
basically got to impact at the same time, but the way they got to impact was noticeably different. Trevino and Nicklaus, for example, Palmer and Gary Player, they all had uniquely different swings, but they were able to get results because they understood the basic fundamentals. And the problem that I see now, much like you do, is that everybody's focusing so much on this picture-perfect swing, which looks great, but how many guys on tour are winning consecutively and consistently with his picture-perfect swing.
Well, let me draw you a really clear picture of what I mean. Okay, my daughter just played in the U.S. Pub Links and the U.S. Women's Amateur. So you're talking she played in the two deepest fields you could play in except for the U.S. Women's Open. I'll just use the women's Pub Links. I had 3 students in that tournament. My daughter, another girl from Colorado that I've taught, and a girl that I've probably given 100 lessons to from Florida. Carly made the cut. The other 2 girls didn't. But the gist of the story, I know so many of those girls in that field, and at the U.S. Women's Amateur, I knew many, many of those girls in that field. And I know who they're working with, and I know what they're working on. The players that you're seeing that are really having success, they're not beating themselves up the way that you're talking about. They're playing golf. They're getting the ball in the hole.
Right.
They're not tied to machines. They're not wearing teaching jackets and this and that. They're playing golf. And I think a lot of teachers just missed that boat. I don't know why they missed it, but they've missed it. And I hope they get back on it. You know, I hope they get back on it and start teaching people to have fun, play the game, get the ball in the hole in the least amount of strokes. Last I checked, the person who wins got the ball in the hole in the least amount of strokes.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm much like you. I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm not against the technology. I think there is a place for it. But I think that if it overtakes and overshadows the sort of core, then I think that's where it becomes a problem. And I think you're right what you said earlier as well, that this is why there are so many people that are frustrated right now. You know, here's the thing, is as I talked about earlier in the program tonight before you come on with David from Bridgestone, you know, there's a segment of the population in that sort of 30-something range that, you know, have young families, you know, like you were at one point, had younger children growing up. They don't have the same time. So whatever time they do spend, they have to make the most of it. And unfortunately, they're being pushed in a direction that is taking up a lot of their time, but not reaping any benefits. So they're saying, you know, this is too hard, it's too difficult, I can't memorize all this. You know, I just did, you know, 4 or 5 years at college or university. Now I got to feel like I'm working on another degree here, and they're not having fun.
Yes. You know what blows me away, Ted? The amount of golf, I don't even like to use the word teachers, whatever they are, that don't go watch their students play golf. They never watch them compete. So how do they know what they're doing? I mean, if I get a junior golfer that's serious about golf, I'm going to go watch he or she play a tournament. I'm just going to do that. I'm going to take the time to go do that because that's my ammunition. That's what I need to see. I don't need to see perfect swings on a driving range off perfect lies. I know what they can do off of that. I need to watch them play golf. I need to see what they do when they're nervous. I need to see what they do when they're in the rough, when they have a side hill lie. I need to see how they putt from 30 feet. You know, and my daughter's game I know so good, but I'll get to know my students' golf games. And, you know, I have a lot of friends that are teachers. They don't go watch their kids play. And to me, I don't know how you teach somebody if you've never watched them compete and you've never watched them under the gun. How do you go teach them? You're just guessing at what they got to work on a driving range.
Right, and you know, here's something else too, Barry, that we see, and I'm sure you've seen it many, many times. You know, you'll be watching a young player on the range, or anybody really, but a student on the range, and everything seems to be gelling. But then as soon as they step on that first tee, it's like it's a different person showed up. And, you know, so you're right. You need to watch how they handle under a course condition. I mean, anybody can hit well on the range, but now take it to the golf course. What game are you going to bring to the golf course? And you're right. The teacher needs to understand that if they're going to be able to help a student.
One of my best friends in the world came down from my hometown to watch my daughter play the U.S. Amateur. And he drove all the way down with his 2 kids. And, you know, he was watching girls hit on the range. And he, you know, I was talking to him. He said, my God, Carly's got a beautiful swing. They all look amazing on the range. Because it just shows you something separate about girls like Carly that can do it when the gun goes off. And that really, if you think about it, that comment he made, that is golf. I mean, everybody looks good. Put it on a tee on a perfect lie with a 7-iron. Anybody can hit it good. Go play golf when there's people watching and there's cameras and the golf channel's filming you. And that's a whole different beast, you know. Or for the weekend warrior, it might just be he's playing with his 3 best friends. He's even par through 6 holes. He's nervous. He wants to play well. But, you know, another trend that I see that's a little scary in golf, and to be 100% honest, I thought it took a toll on my daughter last year as a freshman, and I put an end to it quickly, and she got her game right back, is working out to the point of getting bulky, and I'm not a fan of that. I think a lot of the injuries in the game that you're seeing at the highest level, of course, Tiger comes to mind. I love Tiger. You know, I've played against him. I know him a little bit. I like that man. I like him. I don't know him that well, but what I know of him, I like. And I just see people. I'll use Carly as an example. She went away to college last August. I didn't see her till mid-October up at Chapel Hill. She was a different physical body than she was when she left. She was so much bigger, so much stronger. When she came home for Christmas break, everybody at our golf club was saying, Carly, you're lifting weights. My gosh, you look huge. She hated it as a girl. I hated it as a golf teacher. Hated it. It made her less flexible. Her swing got a little flatter, and she just was in different positions. And I immediately called the coach, and I said, hey, listen, I've never called you until now. Stop those workouts for her body. The coach listened to me. Her game, she came in second in Dallas. Look at the summer she just had. She took off. And that's a trend that worries me, Ted. It's a trend that I see at the highest level. I think it creates injuries. I think it's nice to fit. I'm a very fit person. You know me, you're fit. We love being in shape. I like feeling good and looking good. It's important. But you can take it to the point where you're carried away with it and you get bulky and big. And for golf, if you look at past champions, how many were bulky and big?
Yeah,
Nicklaus
exactly.
would be Nicklaus would probably be the strongest body that was a great champion. I think Sam Snead would be a perfect example of a swing that lasted forever. You know, I'm just not a fan of it. What do I love that's going on in golf? I'll tell you one thing I love that's going on in golf, Ted. I think it's awesome that at the highest levels or at the high amateur levels, players are definitely better now. If my daughter was the golfer she is in 1990, there's no way she'd have gone to college. Because she'd be making a ton of money on the LPGA Tour right now. She would have been a dominant player on the LPGA Tour in 1990. The field has gotten so much deeper in both men's and women's golf. The good players have gotten much better. Now, you said the average handicap hasn't changed. I agree, Ted. But if you go to the highest levels and you look at the biggest tours for women and men in the world, the fields are so deep, Ted. That U.S. women's amateur, there's 156 girls there. My daughter came in 21st place in stroke play. But I'm telling you, the girl that came in 140th has a ton of game. They're great players, you know. They're all very good. There's no slouches at that high level. And I love that that's going on. It makes people like Carly and it makes people like 20-year-old guys that are chasing that dream, it makes them have to focus even more because if you're taking it easy, you're not going to make it. You know, it's just, again, an example would be if you dropped Carly on the LPGA Tour in 1991, she'd be banking big checks right now. But on the tour now, it's just too good. You can't take that for granted. It's not like that. There's a lot of great players. You know, I'm old enough. I'm 51 years old. I remember I used to go watch the ladies play. I didn't know I was going to have a daughter that became a world-class player. But before kids, I used to go. I've taught a lot of good women players. I've taught a couple of girls that have played on that tour. And so I've been following women's golf off and on for a long time. It's so much deeper now, Ted. And the Rory McIlroys of the world. Rory is a direct, absolutely direct Tiger Woods made on the game. Rory has been working since he's 6 years old to be like he is now, and that's what Carly's been doing.
Yeah, exactly. And you look at, especially internationally now as golf has grown so much, you look at the field of international players coming in at just such a high level, and especially in the ladies tour, certainly on the men as well, but the ladies as well. You look at the level of young ladies coming in, even same age as Carly, and you're thinking, wow. I mean,
you know what's amazing? You know what's amazing to me, Ted? You just were very accurate with what you just said. If it wasn't an international game, it was just for girls in the western part of in the United States, and my daughter would be on tour right now because But the girl it's funny. There's girls on the LPGA Tour right now that my daughter has played a dozen times and had success against. So we know what the level of competition. There's a girl that's leading Q School right now. I don't think she's ever beaten my daughter, yet she's leading the LPGA Tour School. They've probably played each other 30 times. I don't think she's ever come in ahead of Carly. Yet, there's so many good players, and when they're playing well, they're very good players. And it wasn't like that 20 years ago. So I love that the intensity and the amount of talent has turned up big time.
Well, and this is why, too, Barry, why you're not seeing really, so much dominance on really any of the tours anymore, because there is such a field of stiff competition. It's not like it was 20 or 30 years ago where you had maybe a handful of top players and everybody just sweeping up.
Ted, that's so true. That is so true.
But think about it. I mean, you had Pomper and you had Nicholas and a few others in that, but and certainly Tiger, exception.
Tiger's an exception.
Tiger did, in my opinion. Tiger was an exception, in my opinion, was not so much because of his physical if you remember when he first came on in '97, he was a scrawny little kid. He did have certainly a good game, but he was able to intimidate from a very early time, intimidate his competition. And it wasn't until they were able to overcome that sort of intimidation that he started to give way to other players.
He was the most mentally strong,
if you will, for a long time.
I never saw a more mentally strong athlete than Tiger Woods. Maybe Annika Sorensen was like that, Michael Jordan, Wayne Gretzky, but Tiger was at another level with his brain. But, it's funny. You could just use Carly's LSU golf team as an example. She's got a girl from Denmark, a girl from Austria, a girl from Sweden, Carly's from Florida, a girl from Colombia, and a girl from Louisiana. That's who's on the team. So, I mean, you go back, look at LSU's women golf in 1991, everybody would have been from the United States. Everybody. The game has just opened up around the world, and it's a much deeper field. And I'm not sure you're going to ever see anybody dominate the game the way Tiger did. I'm not sure that'll happen again. And, certainly I don't think Rory's going to do that. He's awesome, but he's much more inconsistent than Woods was. Woods was every week. Every week he was the guy to beat, I don't know. I look at
and
it.
And that's what I meant by intimidation.
Yeah, he intimidated.
That's what I meant by intimidation.
When I look at golf as a whole, Ted, I feel like I'm really lucky with all these credentials that I've had tossed on me. It's awesome. It's very flattering. It's great. When you look at the game as a whole, and let's just say I wasn't a golf teacher. Let's just say I was a guy talking about golf with you. The athleticism of the players today is at a completely different level than it was 25 years ago. There's so many athletes playing golf now. I mean, I'll just use again my daughter's golf team. I'll go watch those girls practice. They're all athletes, every one of them. Carly said she never really played any other sport except golf. At a high level, that's very true. But my daughter's an athlete. I mean, you watch them walk, you watch them swing. These are athletes, And you go back 30 years ago. I'll just use the LPGA Tour as an example. It wasn't anything like that. There was girls hitting at 220 yards that were great players. Carly's hitting at 260, 270, 250. She misses at 245, I mean, she'd have been 40 yards past these girls. And not all of that is equipment. They're just much better athletes. And Tiger, again, I give Tiger a huge part of that. Tiger was the first guy that came to golf and made his body very strong. He got a little carried away with it. I think he got to the point where he bulked up. But Tiger made golfers think about the gym as something to do. Most golfers, go back to the guys you admired, they never went to the gym. They went to the bar, And
exactly.
A kid like Rory McIlroy. Because I'm of that age. They're a little older than me, but and you look at these kids. I went and watched Carly's teammates practice last week when I was with her, and they're all athletes, every one of them. I mean, girls that are 5'5" to 5'11", swinging golf clubs and killing the golf ball. So I think golf is in a good place. I hate all the doomsayers and the negative people that say golf's dying, and I don't see it that way at all. I know rounds are down, and I don't see that there's some panic button that needs to be hit at all. What I see amongst juniors, it's very popular. I think amongst people our age, it's a little less popular. 35-year-olds, 40-year-olds, 50-year-olds maybe don't have the time they used to. But it's huge amongst juniors, huge.
Right, and I think what it is, we talked about it briefly a moment or two ago, Barry. I think what a lot of it is the people our age, it's more a level of frustration because they are getting bombarded with so much technology. The juniors, it's like this when you're younger like that, you look through a different set of eyes. But as you get older and you get experience, you sort of start to see how things are going in life. Start to become a little different. And I think what happens is, because you're not seeing the results, because a lot of your direction is being misguided by media, or you're not seeing the results that you think. So, as you grow older, you kind of think, well, I can't afford to spend this much time out in the range, or I can't afford to do this or do that, or all these numbers or stats are just, filling my head up and giving me a brain cramp that, they get frustrated and they just decide that, they're going to back off, or family commitments, what have you.
It gives me a cramp too, Ted. I'm just like them. Most of the lessons I give, if it's a player that's serious about golf, I go out on a golf course with them to start with. Like, I have a young man coming down from Windsor, Ontario next week for 3 days, 9 to 3 every day. First thing I'm going to do is take him on. Yeah, he's a good player. He wants to play professionally. He's 15 years old. He's a very good player. First thing I'm going to do is watch him play 3, 4, 5 holes. That's the first thing I'm going to do. Then I know where I can begin teaching him. Right, exactly. And that's a smart way to do it as well, because you can have somebody hit balls on a range and they know that you're going to be watching them do that, but to watch them play in a playing condition brings a whole different set of skill level, if you will, because now they're under pressure. One thing to hit a couple of balls on the range and watch ball flight, but now to see them how they handle a hole, how they handle a bad or a bad approach to a green is in a whole different, and how they handle nervous. They get nervous because they have a top-ranked teacher. There's a top-ranked teacher they never met watching them play, so they get nervous, and that's what I want. I want to see how they play when they're nervous. But a whole other ball game is I'll teach them how to practice. Most kids or people have no idea how to practice to get better, and I'll give them ways to hit balls that'll make them better. I'll give them ways to work on their putting to get better, ways to work on their pitching to get better. I have feedback drills that I got taught by legendary teachers, and I use them. And so there is a way to do it on the range and to get better. But, man, the game is played on the golf course. Exactly. It's not played in the range. Not at all, Ted. And, I know time's wrapping up. And that's what – yeah, exactly. Well, listen, Barry, unfortunately we're running out of time, but I want to thank you for coming on. And I unfortunately we couldn't have had Carly Ray for a little bit longer, but we'll get her next time. But Barry, I want to thank you for coming on here. I appreciate your insight and your input, and I also appreciate your support of the program. My pleasure, Ted. You're a good guy, and thanks for coming and finding me last year and introducing yourself. That makes all the difference in the world. Once I met you, I knew I wanted to come on the show, Well, I appreciate that. I'm glad, and you're welcome to come back. And Barry, I want to get you. I know you're busy a lot of the times, but maybe we can squeeze one or two in here and there. But I do a segment called Coach's Corner. I get a few people together and the other teaching professionals. We sort of talk about some things going on and try to help some people out. I'd love to have you jump on the bandwagon on a couple occasions if you can squeeze it in. Is it in the evening like this, Ted? Yes. Then you have my word. I would love to do it. You just track me down, okay? You just tell me when you want me to come on, and I will make time. For you, I'd love to do that. It sounds like a fun night. Yeah, I think you'll enjoy it. I'll reach out to you in the next little bit, and also I want to reach out to you as well about the tournament up in Nashville that Carly Ray is going to be playing in a few weeks. I think I might try to make it up there if I can. So, but Mr. Goldstein, thank you for being on Golf Talk Live again tonight, and I look forward to having you back many times. And all the best to Carly Ray, and give her my best, and tell her have a great season. And I as long as they're not playing Auburn, I'll be more than happy to back LSU football. Hey, Ted, best wishes to you. It was a pleasure being on your show, and I'd be happy to do the Coach's Corner. You just let me know when. All right. Thank you, Barry. All right. You have a great evening and have a great Labor Day weekend. Good night, Ted. I look forward to seeing you in January at the PGA show. I'll see you there. Yeah, we'll get together, I promise. Bye-bye now. All right. Thanks, Barry. Okay, that was, of course, Barry Goldstein, voted once again by Golf Tips Magazine, one of the top 30 instructors. Great guy, great father to two great daughters, Aubrey and Carly Ray Goldstein. Carly Ray, of course, off to LSU for her second year at the university, and she, of course, is going to be playing on the women's golf team. Had a great summer with her dad and played some great golf and watched a little baseball, and she's going to be there working hard as anybody to help that LSU women's golf team this year. So we wish her all the best, and I appreciate her taking a bit of time this evening in her busy schedule. So thank you, Carly Ray, if you're tuning in. But also,
I just want to thank everybody for all the listeners from around the world. Just take this opportunity to thank you for faithfully tuning into Golf Talk Live each and every week. I had a great pleasure and enjoyment of having a number of highly talented coaches and teaching professionals, authors stop by, and it's through their participation and guest appearances that have helped to make Golf Talk Live a first-class show. I want to give a special thanks to my guest this evening, Rick Wolf, of course, the head golf professional at Tiger Point out in Gulf Breeze, Florida, out in the Pensacola area. Thank you, Rick, for again, you can find out more about Tiger Point in South Coast Golf Guide, and just go to southcoastgolfguide.com, and you can get a copy of the latest version. I think it's just a new one's just come out, so you can get a copy of that and find some great courses to play while you're down here in the southeast here at in the southeastern part of the United States. And Tiger Point being one of them. So thanks, Rick, for stopping by. And also David Juhola, the Bridgestone area manager for Alabama and, of course, the panhandle of Florida. Thank you, David, for coming and sharing a little bit of what's up and coming with Bridgestone. Seeing some of the new products that are coming out for 2015, and some of which, of course, will be at the EGA. Take a look for that. In the meantime, you can go and visit bridgestonegolf.com to find out more information about some of the new products that are coming out for Bridgestone. And, of course, a special thank you to Carly Ray Goldstein, number one dad, caddy, and of course, father to a young lady who really has impressed me. I haven't had the pleasure of actually meeting her face-to-face yet, but met her dad last year, as we talked about earlier in the show, at the 2014 PGA show, and I'll certainly look forward to getting together with them again. But a great dad and a great young lady, very humble, and we wish her all the best, Carly Ray, at LSU this year, and good luck with the women's golf team. I'll be back next week, of course, every Thursday here at Golf Talk Live at 6 p.m. Central Standard Time, so make sure you tune in. And have a great holiday week. I want a special thank you, of course, to all of the people that helped show Jonathan Laird of South Dakota, Meredith Kirk, who is currently out west right now competing in the Mrs. America contest. She was, of course, the 2014 Mrs. South Carolina, so we wish her well, Mrs. Meredith Kirk. And she's also very involved in golf as well. And but right now she's competing for Mrs. America, so we wish her well. Best of luck. I need listeners for helping spread the word, my good buddies from Down Under. And, of course, Mr. Bernie Pinder from Ontic Golf, a great line of putters, of course. And Mr. Peter Doyle over in Ireland, great club professional, great teaching professional, and just a great all-around guy. Thank you for your continued support. Don't forget to join me on Tuesday mornings on Blog Talk Radio on the Women of Golf channel. I'm, of course, joined by none other than LBJ professional Cindy Miller. Her and I are every 9 a.m. Eastern time on Blog Talk Radio, Women of Golf. So make sure you tune in next Tuesday and, of course, next Thursday evening at 6 p.m. Central for Golf Talk Live. Have a safe holiday weekend, everybody, and I will see you back here next Thursday at 6 p.m. Central right here on Golf Talk Live. God bless everybody and have a safe holiday.